Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Jason Hunt here, inviting you to join us every Saturday morning for news, the week's headlines in science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic books, video games, plus Comic-Con updates and the weather, and the occasional interview along the way. We call it Good Morning Multiverse. We hope you join us every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, right here on Sci-Fi for Me TV.
America's southern border has become a war zone. Human traffickers, drug smugglers, and terrorists flow across the Rio Grande with impunity, secure in the knowledge that no one will stop them. A distant federal government lectures Americans on their privilege while punishing overworked Border Patrol agents who were helpless to stem the tidal wave of invaders and determined migrants. Second-generation Cuban-American Marcos Zamora is a military vet, more patriotic than most Americans. No longer able to ignore the chaos at his doorstep, he acts. Joined by his best friend Gus, they hit the border every night, saving lives while stopping violent drug cartels and other opportunists. The government reacts with fury at Marcos' attempts to preserve American sovereignty, deploying the full might of their enforcement agencies. But Marcos understands that the only thing the rich and powerful fear is bad publicity, and he records every encounter. Whoever he is, this private American must be stopped. Illustrated by Richard Bonk and written by Eisner winner Mike Barron, Private American is his version of Captain America, and maybe a little Punisher, taking part in this ongoing, violent, and very real battle of good versus evil in the war for American sovereignty. Grab your copy at theprivateamerican.com.
We have a secure border, and that is a priority for our administration.
Come get some.
And it's time for the LCS Guys with Michael Tierney. Michael, how are you tonight, man?
Hey, doing great. How are you doing today, RJ?
I'm a little tired, man. I've been working myself on these fulfillments. You've been working on getting that. You're on the Robert E. Howard art chronology.
Trying to knock that out. Yeah, putting those pages together. Beautiful stuff. Just so much of it. Wow.
Yeah. Quantity will kill you. Tell me all about it right now, because I'm buried under quantities of things.
Yeah, and then of course I got my mail orders shipments coming in. I got to try to keep up with. Of course, then the city council is going on, and good news, another pile on, but a good pile on is just today I got another 4 pages in of the Beyond the Farthest Star strips by Silvestri. Beautiful work. He's just doing a great job. So I just immediately started on that. I'm just going to knock those out. That way I don't have anything waiting. And I almost forgot about your show. I was working away. So, okay, I got to take a break. Like, oh, wow. No, I don't get a break.
And I had forgot to text you. So I got lucky that you checked the mail. And we're going to be an abbreviated show tonight. We're both kind of buried under things. So we got to get back to life and back to work. But Mike Walters out in the chat dropping by saying, hi, good to see you, Mike. Thank you for the like and the share. This is, of course, the LCS Guys shows where we come in and talk about the industry in general, but also what's been happening in the world of comics over the past 2 weeks since our last show. And good news, Mike, you're not going to have to order as many copies of Son of Kal-El as you used to, or Robin.
Oh, really? What are they doing? I hadn't heard this.
Well, Son of Kal-El is canceled.
Okay.
As of issue 18. And
so they finally admitted the sales aren't there.
They finally admitted the sales aren't there by way of canceling it, but they are going to shove it over to an Adventures of Superman miniseries for 6 issues. So
miniseries is just the worst thing. You don't give a book time to get its readership. If you're going to do a book, make it an ongoing book and then cancel it at some point if you need to. But when 4 issues, you don't even have an idea what it's going to sell. The retailers, when you're buying for the shelf, you're just completely guessing, pulling numbers out of thin air. You may as well have a dartboard and say, all right, I'm ordering 3 copies. You got nothing to work on.
Yeah, we kept being told, that this was such a great seller. But the thing is that since DC left Diamond, we have no concrete numbers on anything. DC does. DC knows how many books they sold. They've got to pay people.
Yeah, and they're laying a lot of people off. So that tells you, big numbers there.
Exactly. And, Tom Taylor was always talking up how well it was selling. He was always showing it number 1 on Amazon. But apparently, I guess he was taking screenshots off Amazon like the second Comixology listed it. And there was that burst of sales because it was available, all the subscriptions being filled. 6 hours later, it's not number 1 anymore.
Yeah.
Floats back down. But yeah, that's gone, and Robin is gone. Or as Bleeding Cool made a story of it, they said DC cancels heterosexual Robin title.
Because Robin was okay. I don't know why they canceled that one. He had a following.
Yeah, and it was running for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
But they've kicked it off again. See, there's a new
need to mention this. Oh, it's a heterosexual, but yeah. So okay, we're canceling one guy, so we got to make a point. This guy's heterosexual. We're canceling him too.
That was Bleeding Cool doing that. Yeah, they made, because there was such a story about hey, the gay Superman title got canceled. So Rich Johnson said, hey, the heterosexual Robin character got canceled. But there's already a new Robin book. I've already bought it, reviewed it, ripped it to pieces on stream. Literally. I mean, I took scissors and cut panels out of it because it reads better without this panel. It reads better without that panel. But it's Tim Drake, Robin. And I kind of wish I hadn't ripped it up because I would love to show you the art in this thing.
Yeah, I carried it.
So you've seen the Tim Drake Robin.
Well, I've seen the cover and I shipped it out, but that's about as far as I got into it. I don't even look at it.
The cover was fine, ish. The interior artwork was not superhero title-ish. Let me see if I can't just find.
But I'll tell you what. Sometimes the grinding of the axe, people with their agendas. I mean, you can just hear the sparks and see the sparks flying. People are pushing their agendas.
Not kidding. It was. Yeah,
I'm just here to sell books. If somebody wants it, I'll carry it. But they're trying to make me sell stuff that people don't want to buy. And then they try to say, "Well, your customers don't buy the right stuff." That's the wrongest answer you can say in the world. I'm here to give people what they want. The customer is the one who decides what sells, and give them what they want. That's all there is to it. It's that simple. Don't try to force agendas on them. They won't buy it.
No, they don't. And I'm trying to pick up here we go. Here's a great representation of the artwork inside Tim Drake Robin #1. Just open this image in a new tab. I guess I'll drag it over to the next screen because it's bigger than the tab. Why is it so big? Oh, probably because I'm magnified. Yeah, I am kind of magnified. Okay, let me bring it down some here. Great. This is not what you expect from a superhero book.
Okay.
I'm going to have to take this down too. So that's the style of artwork we're getting.
So how long has Bruce Timm been on a bender?
I don't, well, and they're both Tim. I mean, this is a weird kind of composite drawing. Yeah, Tim Drake's been gay for 6 months now, and he's already got AIDS, because he's just emaciated. The way he's drawn walking is flouncy. He literally jumps out of his skin when his boyfriend sneaks up on him. Now, mind you, his boyfriend is just a civilian guy who doesn't know he's Robin, and Tim Drake got snuck up on by him and scared the willies out of him.
When I had my stores, I had a significant number of customers who will, shall we just say, alternative lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
They didn't buy this stuff. They were always like, man, they're just pandering to us. It's kind of like the kids' books. They were talking down to kids. They were pandering to them. They didn't want that stuff. Just give people a good story with good art. That's what they want. Don't, bring your politics in it. If it's part of the story, that's fine. But when you're trying to play politics, nobody wants it.
Well, that was this, because Tim Drake's moved out of the Wayne mansion. He bought a houseboat at 16, and his entire set of neighbors, they're flying the pride flag. There's a murder he's got to investigate. So he calls the only cop he can trust, which, by the way, isn't Jim Gordon, but it's a detective from the Pride Annual, who's also gay. So it's like, once he came out, it's like, I can only associate with gay people now. And that was the whole story, was his relationship with Bernard being interrupted by a crime, and he just wants to get back to his boyfriend.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to last as long as the other Robin title did.
No, I remember the main Robin. What people got really upset one time. Manga. Excuse me, I'm trying to keep from sneezing here. Manga got huge. And so DC always makes the wrong choice. They try to play the cards, and they read it the way they want to, and then are shocked when it doesn't work out the way they thought. They thought, okay, everybody likes manga art. Manga wasn't selling because of the style of the art. It was that they were giving you different stories than superheroes. They were covering all the range of type of stories, where superheroes, just all superheroes, that's it. Nothing but superheroes. And so they started drawing Robin as superhero. All of a sudden, he looked like he was of Asian descent. And nothing wrong with that, but that's not Robin. So all my customers who were just diehard Robin fans, like, I just can't read this anymore. I don't even know who this guy is. I mean, the art's awful. It's not the character I expect, and it really hurt the sales on the book for a long, long time. And guess what? So the books don't sell. Then DC comes up with determination: people don't like manga art anymore. It was never about the style of the art. They were giving you different stories. They always draw the conclusion they want to draw, and there's something wrong with the customers if it doesn't work.
Well, DC's been short-sighted a lot. I've been telling the story about, how you were making the trade paperback collections out of, stuff in your 50-cent bin and selling it. And this came up a lot recently because Alan Moore was in the news saying how, hey, if you like superhero books, you're just infantilized and you're, taking steps toward fascism. And I got to say, well, Alan Moore's just upset that he didn't get his characters back from Watchmen, and that's sour grapes because he's getting paid well for that. And I went into the whole explanation of why that is.
He's been getting paid first print money because they had no reprint rights when he signed his contract.
Yeah, so him and Frank Miller.
Yeah, exactly. Frank Miller. I remember talking to Bob, who was the editor of DC at the time, and he was telling me about, Frank Miller was the #1 paid freelancer in the 1990s. He did no work for DC in the 1990s, but because the Dark Knight Returns was such a big seller, he was their highest paid freelancer.
Yep, and it still sells today. So,
but he got hurt when he came out with the sequel, Strikes Again, and then the others after it. I was
That
standing.
Master Race one, they were both horrible.
Yeah, I was standing next to him when they announced it, and I was like, "Hey, let me, we should be the first one to shake your hand and say thank you." I thought this was going to be another evergreen product, and it just didn't work out.
No, it wasn't the same Batman anymore in there. I mean, that guy was truly psychotic. I mean, he hated Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson became a villain.
He had that big delay right in the middle. And I went ahead, I waited till it was all out to try to read it. And you could tell he made a big U-turn in the story. I mean, you got the volcano under the Batcave and, and opening the doors and, the evil Robin falls into the volcano. And, it just, you could tell, through the whole first half of the book, Batman is so sick. He's like on his deathbed. If he even tries to get out of his bed, and he's like about to have a cardiac arrest, has to go lie back down. Then all of a sudden, bam, a shift. He's running around in the middle of the night, jumping around buildings, getting the crap beaten out of him. And, back to the grim, gritty Batman you used to know. And then it's Robin that takes the fall. I think he was setting it up for, Robin to kill him. And then realized that's not going to work. I got to do something different. And then changed those story. He just made a U-turn. You could just tell it just wasn't the way he was going one direction and thought, people are going to buy that. I got to switch. So, give him credit for at least saying, yeah, U-turn time.
Yeah. And then that third book with all the Kryptonians in it.
Never read it.
It wasn't worth it. I don't even know if it's ever been finished yet. I think there's still issues of it coming out. So.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's just one of those long delayed titles.
Definitely expiration of expectations.
Yes, very much. And it's all Carrie Kelly as Batman stuff. So I don't even know Bruce is in it. But that's the way it goes in the funny books.
It's
today,
give the customer what they want. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Today, by the way, is a special birthday. So Mike Walters, if you're listening, since you do run the show on your channel with all the niche news, today is Marvel writer Joe Carter's birthday. Now, Joe Carter was a pseudonym for a guy named Jerry Siegel. You might know him better that way.
Oh, okay. I know you're talking.
It wasn't until today that I learned that he had done work for Marvel under the name Joe Carter.
I had no idea.
So now I've got to look up what he did as a writer. But yeah, it's kind of a Superman day today because it is Jerry Siegel's birthday.
Still waiting to get the ownership back.
Still waiting. Will never really happen, I don't think.
No, rather than pay him, they'll just wait till the whole family dies.
Yeah. Now, did we talk last time 2 weeks ago? Was had Joe Quesada come back to DC at that point?
No,
yeah,
he had just come back. We were talking about how, did DC said they'd never do another Marvel team up because they'll never have anything to do with Joe Quesada. Now they hired him. Hey, good for him. I hope he does a good job. He's a fantastic artist.
Yeah. Now I've heard, it's just to do covers, but come on, you're in there. You've got a voice. You've got experience at the leadership positions, and DC is sorely lacking in any kind of leadership right now.
Yeah. He was a great art director. He just wasn't a storyteller.
There is that, yeah. I wasn't crazy about his stories, but he did do some great art. And, he's got Jim Lee's ear and respect. They came up together through the Image days, so and the X-Men stuff. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he kind of starts making some steps up now that he's got his foot in the door.
I'd be scared to go to work at DC right now. When they get somebody in charge who knows what's going on.
Well, all he's got to do is just focus on doing the one thing he's doing right now and make it make money. Because if he can do that, then when Zaslav comes through and says, that's not making money, that's not making money. Okay, that's making money. What are you doing that's different from everybody else? Time to shine and then take over.
Didio, however you said his name, he just didn't seem to be focused on money. He was just personal agenda.
Yeah. And I don't know. I keep hearing that, Zaslav is coming. It's like Game of Thrones, winter is coming. But so far, DC still hanging in there and still biting their nails, waiting for the layoffs to come.
It's a great company. I mean, got great characters. There's no reason they should be struggling like they are. Just complete lack of leadership. And that's really been the case for the entire industry for a long time.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is that is stopping DC from selling. They've got the world's greatest superheroes, for crying out loud. That was their logo for a long time. But the stories are just not there for me anymore.
Well, so they want the new voices, the young reader. They're not necessarily hiring people who got talent or people with experience. They're saying, okay, we want that new voice. All they're doing is hiring guys who've never actually even read the comics. They go back and read some recent stuff, and then they make them, just a revision of stuff you've already recently read with the political slant. And, that's all they're coming up with. And nobody likes it. Nobody cares for it. I mean, good story, good art. Simple formula.
Well, like I saw panels from the current Batman run, not the Bruce Wayne run, but the Jason Fox run, and the detective he was talking to, first of all, he made the point that everybody reading the comics is making, which is, like, why did you call yourself Batman? We have a Batman. It's almost like you just didn't think you'd be listened to unless you had that name associated with you. And then he called him a coward. And Jason beat the crap out of him for calling him a coward. I'm like, take that cowl away now. Batman does not do that. Batman is above that.
I know. They don't have the characterizations down. It's not the characters. I mean, it's like, I remember used to heroes were noble. And, what's wrong? I understand the whole anti-hero thing, or, not everybody's just all, black and white. That's fine. People can have shades of gray. But what happened to nobility? What happened to be the rock that everybody else just crashes on? Because you're just unshakable about certain things. Nowadays, there's just no firm ground. Everything's just, it's shifting sand all the time. You just don't know what you're going to get next out of them.
Yeah. And, I miss comic books. I used to really like them.
Yeah. They're just, I don't recognize them.
Now, I have not even read Geiger. Are you familiar with that Image series? But apparently it's getting a TV adaptation.
Nope, I have not read it.
Did you used to read all the comics that came in your store?
I used to read everything that came out until I opened up a second location. And then after about 6 months, I had this gigantic pile of things I still need to read. I was like, this is not practical anymore. Because running 2 stores, that's the worst size to be. Because when you get to 3 stores or more, then you create an infrastructure to help you, manage things. 2 stores, you're just doing double the work. So I was doing 40 years of just double the work all the time. And it just got to be too rough. And then when I wanted to help with the pandemic, I'm like, and I had contracts to do 6 books in 2 years. Like, this is just not sustainable. I just cut bait.
Yep, I hear you. So why didn't you open a 3rd store? I mean, if that would have made things easier, I mean, where would you have opened it?
There wasn't a place where I thought a 3rd store would be, would support itself. It would have just bled from the other 2 stores.
Yeah.
I tried a lot of things. I tried being open on Sundays. Found out, around the holidays. I was like, okay, well, holidays coming, that'd be a good time to test the Sundays. Found out I was getting the same sales, just spread out over 7 days instead of 6, and just increased my cost and expense. So I just, I was dominant on the area market, but I'd saturated it. I mean, there's a limit of how much it was there. That's why nobody could ever compete against me, because there wasn't anything left. I had it all. And so, anything else would have involved a lot of driving. It would have just been too far away to try to open another location. And lots of people tried to open up in those other cities, and nobody succeeded.
Yeah, I'd think you'd have to go south of Hot Springs or north of Russellville.
Russellville, that area, but that's, my gosh, that's, now it's like a 4 or 5 hour drive. Back in the day, it was like an 8 hour drive just to get to Russellville before they opened what we call the Hog Trail. They had interstate through the mountains, the Boston Mountains, and cut the time of driving in half, no longer having to go through those winding Boston Mountains. And all these signs about 35 people killed in the last month. Don't be number 36.
Yes.
And they're coming back. 37 people killed in the last month. Don't be number 38.
You drive down the road. There's the guy with the marker right in the sign.
It was a beautiful drive. Dangerous as hell. Wind.
Oh, well, that's like where I'm at right here in Eureka Springs.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. 270-degree turns sometimes where you're hairpinning back on yourself.
Yeah. All those runoff ramps for the trucks when they lose the brakes.
Yes. We don't have those because there's nothing off the side of the road for them to run off onto. That's off the side of the mountain. If they do that,
they probably
get
don't
stopped by trees
through there. Yeah.
plenty of times I've made some of these curves in between Bentonville and Eureka Springs, where I've seen police cars and a number of motorcycles, and all of them stopped and looking down the thing. I'm like, oh, there's another motorcycle down there. Somebody didn't make the turn.
Right. When I first moved down here, I was working at a printing company, and one of the jobs we printed, we were printing all the maps for Weyerhaeuser. That was a paper company, and we were printing the maps they were used to do their logging. So I had maps of all the back trails, all throughout the state. And I had no, 72 Chevelle. I mean, I could not get stranded in that vehicle. I mean, that thing was like a goat. And I remember I'd taking vacations, and I was, recently divorced, but I'd take my ex-wife with me. We'd go drive it up there, and we'd just be like the only car until every now and then you run into a lumber truck. I mean, it was some of the most beautiful sights you've ever seen, but it was really literally driving down goat trails. I mean, it's a beautiful country up there, but very hilly. I remember one time coming back, we got back on the main roads, and you could tell when it was Thanksgiving hunting season, and every place there was a place where a car could pull over, there was a hunter relieving himself on the side of the road. Every spot, all the whole way up and down. There's always a guy in the truck kind of looking over his shoulder as you go driving by, as he's just kind of communing with nature.
Yeah. Oh man. So what else is going on in comics now? I don't know. I don't hear anything from Marvel Comics these days. I know they're the only ones that are really selling.
Oh, they're blowing DC out of the water. It's not even close anymore. I remember back when Bill Jemas was running Marvel in the ground, and DC was coming along, and they started passing them, started outselling them.
Yeah.
And those days are long gone. DC, it's like they're not even trying.
Yeah, but is Marvel outselling them on the basis of a few titles that are really good, or on the basis of more titles that are all selling about the same?
They're outselling them on the basis of more titles that are ongoing and have built their readership, and they keep that readership built.
Okay, so
you give a book time to build its readership and then keep it going. Yeah, they love to restart them, but at least that's okay. People want Avenger, okay, they restart Avenger, okay, I'll just carry them all over, and usually they will go over. But you get fatigued though, because you think, oh, hey, it's a new jumping on point for new readers. Actually, more often than not, it's a jumping up point. I got this other one complete. I'm done. I'm out.
Yep. Why start another one? It's just I can say I've got them all now.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get new people come in. You get older people going, yeah, this is a good point to walk away.
Nobody thinks that.
Yeah.
They all think they're going to get somebody new.
And I've been writing this about market reports, for Overstreet, everywhere. I used to write for a Comic Buyer's Guide, market reports. I said, guys, you're just losing readership. Yeah, you get a little bump, but then it always goes down lower than what it was before very soon. Then you relaunch again, a little bump, goes down lower. It's a self-deprecating cycle. And, you're wiping yourself out. Just not good business.
What do you see in the indies these days? Because I think the indies are kind of surging. Given that there's not a lot of good stories from the big two. Marvel having more, but DC definitely lagging there. I mean, are you getting a lot of indie books in your pull list for folks?
I've got a few, but usually the ones that sell best are the ones that have been around for a while. The ongoing stuff. Things
like Saga and.
Yeah, but of course, it hurts itself every time it goes on hiatus and comes back. It loses a good bunch of people. So you can't completely rebuild it when you stop it. So don't give people an excuse to walk away.
Yeah. Keep them on the hook. Always end on a cliffhanger. Even if you've wrapped up, that's how comics used to be. When if they had a big story, and they wrapped it up, it was like you're on the last page. You're like, well, and he's gone away for a long time. We won't see him anymore. And you'd pan out into that last panel. It's like, finally, the Fantastic Four are mine. And you don't even know who the villain is, but I got to come back. There's something getting ready to start.
Kind of like Thor, when you had, the whole hammer and all that the stuff building up, and you had the Thoom ran for several issues, build up, tease thing, get people interested in what's going to happen next.
They did the same thing with Death of Superman, didn't they?
Yeah. So then Beta Ray Bill shows, and then the other guy shows, and Superman. I mean, you build those characters up, and you get people interested. And guess what? You have mega sellers. I mean, they look at the history and say, this really kicks some butt here.
The Superman, the Death of Superman books got easier for the artists to draw as they went along, because if you noticed, there were fewer panels per page of each of those books. until finally the last book was splash page each one. It was just big panels.
Yeah.
So they built into that. It was kind of a neat kind of countdown effect. But
what kind of speeds up the storytelling? You know, the bigger panels get, the faster you're moving the story. You want to slow it down, you start going to tiny panels.
Yeah, and that's the power of comics, is the ability to slow down time, and by using that
Well,
technique.
I don't think a lot of artists and writers know that technique anymore. You don't see it used hardly at all.
No, it's I've seen a very few, and the way I've seen them do it is they'll have like a panel at the bottom that stretches across the page, and then they're like, let's slow it down some. So they'll just put the dividers between that and just kind of separate them. You can tell by looking at it, your mind puts it together as one picture, but those gutters force a time division in there, and you can get that slowdown effect going. And you read it just as fast, but it still has that impact.
Yeah, technique. There's just so many things that you can do in comics. And like a lot of them, they're starting to say, "Oh, it's old school. We don't do that anymore." Like thought balloons, get into the the head of the writer. And that was the whole thing. It was a nice thing, or the character, because you could get into what's going on, what they're thinking about. You had that extra line of communication between the characters, and I always thought that was great. I hated it when you lost it. Now I I don't really use thought balloons in my comics, but I'll use thought panels.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that still going on. The different colored panels, so when it's Batman talking to himself or Superman talking to himself.
Right. And one thing I don't do either is use the panels to give a description, because McGregor, Don McGregor was like the worst one about this. He'd have a panel that would take up half the panel, a thought panel or word panel, and he described everything in the picture. You can look and see all those things. Why is he telling it to you again? Yeah, so some guys in the past didn't always use it right, but he's done right. It can be an extra tool, break down that fourth wall, and bring the reader into the story more, give them another dimension of involvement.
Absolutely. I keep hoping comics are going to make a comeback. I don't know. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be independent books. I think they're going to be books like the Barton Brothers Kozor book here that I'm shipping out. So. Yeah,
a lot of retailers I've seen around the country are just hate those. They're taking our business away. But it's content that we don't have available for us to sell because there's not the vehicle for us to sell them.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Because guess what? I am that vehicle. Because whenever I distribute this, I have leftovers, and I am building an online shopping cart system that will go out to retailers where they can come in and get these at the retailer price and have them shipped out to them and put them in their stores.
There you go.
I've been doing it with Dave Dyer, who's on here sometimes, over at Cosmic Comics in Belleville, Illinois. He's got some of these in his store. He got them for free shipping because guess what? They're in the back of my car when I drive down to St. Louis and visit. I just stop in, like, here's what I got today. Tell me what you want to put on your shelf, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're making better stuff out there. They're not restricted by, what you carry. Now, used to, they were putting a lid on the comic industry when it was Diamond, and Diamond had the attitude, okay, we got Marvel, DC, we make 90% of our money with 10% of our work at Marvel, DC. We don't even want to mess with you independents. I knew a lot of publishers. They're like, hey, we're not going to distribute to the market anymore because you're just not worth our time.
Yeah, that was
like, hey, buddy, come on back. We want to talk to you. What you got working?
Yeah, but you know what? They don't need that anymore because they are their own distributors, or they get somebody like me to do it for them.
They were forced to make other plans, and now Diamond's like, buddy, pal, come back.
Yeah, not only did the indies not need you, but you found out that DC didn't need you and Marvel didn't need you.
I don't know if losing DC hurt them a whole lot because they really had a bad contract with DC. I mean, they were just like almost doing the work for free just to have the volume.
I can imagine that, yeah.
Yeah, so they may not hurt too much on losing the DC. I think the Marvel hurt them, though.
Yeah, well, they still got Marvel, but I don't know why any retailer would buy Marvel from them
at a premium.
At a premium when they can get it from the Penguin and Random House.
And with Penguin and Random House, you get free shipping. With Marvel, with Marvel through Diamond, you're paying a premium on shipping. I mean, my God, just a box that you get shipped through, the other guys, it costs like a fourth or a fifth of what it costs to get it shipped through Diamond. They just put the extra charges on there. I mean, there's been a lot of months I'll be looking at it like, yeah, okay, after shipping, I'm just looking to break even with Diamond. There's no profit in it.
Yeah. And how do they ship now from Penguin Random House? Because I know that first week was they didn't know what they were doing with comics.
It was a nightmare. I did a long survey of everything that they did wrong, some detailed report, lots of pictures. And I've gotten fantastic service ever since then. I've never had hardly a problem since. And, they've, if anything, they're almost overkill and doing so great a job. I mean, I'm loving it. And, they can super pack them. I don't care. I like getting great books in great shape and not being gouged on the price of the shipping.
Yeah. With comics being new to them, they didn't know that. I don't think they knew they were shipping collectibles.
Right.
I'm having the same thing with Ingram Spark. Like I've seen some books come in from Ingram Spark in their floppies. And yeah, they just treat it like any other book. You ordered one, throw it in a box. I've written to them. I'm like, look, here's what Comics Wellspring and these other comic printers do. And I show them, they take 10 books and they wrap them in shrink wrap tight, so it's a brick. And then they put another brick, and they come in not damaged and are surrounded by paper. It's an art.
It's super high shipping and terrible quality. Diamond was just eating me alive. They did so much damage to my stores. They really did. Back when I was getting things serviced through, over there in out of Memphis, Olive Branch, I was getting 15 to 25% damages, shortages every single week. It was just so destructive.
Yeah, you can't stay in business doing that, but they did, because where else were you going to go?
Right, that was their thing.
Only thing you could do is like drive down and pick them up and inspect them there and come back with cherry picked copies, but that's not tenable. You can't.
No, that's not logistical possible either. Yeah. So and they just work good to work with. So they made a lot of their own problems. That's when Steve retired. He put a guy in charge. Well, that guy's no longer with the company. Steve came back, took over the company, started running it. I couldn't even tell you the name of the guy who ran his company in the ground. Biggest mistake he ever made was, I'm closing it all down. Oh, I bet he regrets that. Just that day, I was seeing all these retailers saying, close it down. Like, this is the worst thing we could do. I read an article on ICV2.com saying, this is an opportunity. People are going to want entertainment. This is our chance to get out there and have people notice, and it worked really well for games and other stuff like that. And some article read in the morning, and in the afternoon, Steve Jeppy published his article going, we're shutting it down.
Well,
he
and never recovered. Build back better. I thought, our comeback will be bigger than our whatever. Hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Mike, I know we both have a lot of things to do, so I'm going to wrap things up here. Let you get some.
Sounds good.
Re-energizing in here. Mike Walters is getting ready to start his show at 8:00, folks. So if you want to pop over for the comic book historic retrospective, he will be digging into Centaur Publications tonight, doing readings from the Masked Marvel and the Phantom of the Fair. I'm not sure who his guest co-host will be tonight. He has a different co-host every Friday, and it's actually a lot of fun. You're reading Golden Age comics and you're doing voices for voice acting. Everybody's just reading these older comics and having some good stories told online from the old original comics.
Good stories. That's the key.
That was the key, and that's what birthed the industry. That and cheap printing. All right, Michael, thank you so much for taking some time to pop on here and talk about comics.
Always fun.
We'll keep it short this time, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
All right. See you then.
Good night, everybody.